The War is Over, the Stonehouse Series, Chapter 26. Early morning sunshine cast a beam of light through a small hole drilled in Martha's shuttered window, which looked out to the east. The beam of light made a dot the size of your thumb on the western wall inside the home. The western wall was their calendar wall. The dot of sunlight marked 27 days to Passover. Clean clothes hung from hooks around the fireplace. They also covered most of the chairs. John and Jesus had washed out their change of clothes plus their everyday robes before each found a place to sleep. Jesus had patiently responded to questions from the mind of Benjamin until the man finally drifted off to dream up more things to wonder about. He was like a giant sponge in search of truth. Martha's feet made a slight swish, swish as she moved towards her domain. From there she searched for live coals among the ash. Here's one. Not very big. Oh, 2, 3. Yes, I can make this work. From her kindle box, Martha drew a small handful of silvered wood fragments, which she strategically placed and then gently blew into them. A small cloud of smoke raised up, and next, a poof of yellow flame. Yes! Well done, Martha. In a crisscross fashion, she placed some thumb-sized sticks and then glanced at her wall calendar. 3.5 weeks till Passover. One more week of gathering eggs, and then the hens can nest. 50 or 60 new chickens. They'll give Mary something to fuss about. Draped over almost every chair, bench, and table were drying clothes. They were busy last night. I wonder if they're dry. Martha checked the folded places and hems. No moisture, dry as a bone. She gathered up an armful and moved them to side benches. Sleeping bodies covered every other flat surface in the room. Mary silently entered the big room from her bedroom door, fully dressed and with her hair in one long braid. Really? You're up and dressed already. Interesting. What are you up to? Mary snatched up the egg basket and went to visit Martha's chickens. Little sister silently picked her way through a chicken yard obstacle course and snuck up on the coop. All her sneaking was in vain. The floor-birds were piled up against the door. Flipping her braid around the front, she pressed her back against the coop wall, and with her right hand, she tripped the flip-flap latch and flung the door wide open. Rushing wind bounced off her face, flung there by furiously flapping red feathered wings. Martha watched her sister from the window. 20+ years old, and there's still wide-eyed wonder from the fat flying chickens. Go figure. When Mary was just a little girl, Papa added the boardwalk inside the coop. It was a plank at shoulder height connecting the upper roosting pole to the edge of the door, giving the hens a place to fly from. Mary thought Papa had some practical reason for coaxing her chickens to fly, like causing them to lay 7% more eggs or something. Martha knew that the only reason that he had added the takeoff runway was to put a smile on Mary's face and to hear her laugh. Mary patiently kept her place and waited for her favorite chicken. Every second or two, another set of wings blasted through the doorway, but Matilda was still inside. Cautiously, Mary peeked around the corner. The room was empty. Mary stepped up into the coop and began looking into nesting boxes, gathering eggs as she went, looking for the old chicken. Farthest from the door was the hen in her nest with her face towards the opening, flattening out to cover as many eggs as possible. Mary reached into the box to shoo Matilda out, but got a double peck for her effort. Pursuing her first reaction, Mary pulled her sleeve up over her hand and was ready to force Matilda from her nest, when instead she stooped over and looked in through the small opening at Matilda's face. A low growl, as much as a chicken can growl, reverberated from within all of those feathers. "Matilda, are you sitting on our breakfast?" Instead of determination, Matilda hunkered lower down, becoming a red fluff egg guardian. She looked into her basket and began counting eggs. 1, 2, 13, 14, 15. That should be enough, she thought. "Okay, Matilda, I will plead your case before my sister, but no guarantees. Got it?" Sensing victory, Matilda's growl changed to a humming coo as Mary left the hen house. Wood smoke with some hotness warble, things floating through the air, almost ready for cooking. I wonder if the others are up, and she hurried for the house. Low tones of morning voices could be heard through the wooden door as Mary scurried up 3 steps and entered. "I have 15 eggs, Martha, but Matilda is determined to stay on her nest. I know it's a bit early, but she really wants a brood of chicks following her around. Do you think it would be okay if we just let her set? Babies would make her so happy. I told her I would ask you and tell her side of the story." Martha glanced back at her calendar. The sunshine dot was moving down the wall and was more than halfway to the floor. "Mary, you know she could only be sitting on 1 or 2 right now. Yesterday morning I gathered every egg in the hen house." "Well, yes, you are right. She would add to her clutch for about a week before she would really stay on the nest, but you know how she likes to be out in the yard with her brood while the rest are still sitting on their nests waiting for their chicks to hatch. She's lonely to be a mama hen." Squeaking hinges broadcast the arrival of a Lazarus in the room. "Letting her set now would mean we could have rooster pot pie 1 week earlier. My vote is for Matilda." "Lazarus," Mary pouted, "at least let them hatch and eat some bugs in the yard before you cook them in the pot." Jesus was watching his 3 friends with his blanket pulled up to his chin. Across from him, the sunshine dot made a direct hit on John's right eye. The brightness caused him to squirm in his disorientation. He raised his hand to block out the light. Lazarus poked at Mary with his words. "Now, sister, you know every puppy turns into a dog. It's only a matter of time. But I would rather eat a chicken tomorrow than have 1 extra egg for breakfast today." Mary saw sparkles in the eyes of her brother, and refusing to get caught in his teasing, she simply said, "So good to have you back, my brother," and threw a pillow at him. Jesus was sitting up and leaning against the wall now, still wrapped in his blanket, surrounded by the sweet taste of victory. John propped himself up on his left elbow and rubbed his eyes with his right hand. Benjamin was still staring at the ceiling, drifting between thoughts and his earlier conversation with Martha. "Mary," said her sister, "let's go see how Matilda's doing and give the boys time to get up and dressed." 2 sisters left the house. In all of time, Benjamin had seldom dared to dream of having such first-hand access to truth. Over the past 12 hours, Jesus had fed him answers to questions he had considered for as long as he could remember. His thoughts were being placed in proper value sequence order. Some were thrown into the trash where they belonged. There is freedom unlocked through truth. This is so much more than just information. Truth is the only absolute, unbending, unchanging, forever the same absolute truth. As the three house guests dressed and straightened up their room, Ben formulated the next question, which stretched beyond the borders of his country and his lifetime. The sisters peered in at their feathered friend. She was again making that "I'm not moving" sound, Mary exclaimed. "I told her that I was going to talk to you. She's still waiting to hear your answer. She seems kind of set in her ways. Reminds me of someone else I know. I have had to make adjustments. The proof of the corrections you made is sitting in the house instead of lying in the grave. Thank you, Martha." Martha turned to face her younger sister. There was 5 years between them, almost the same amount of time their parents had been gone. And now Martha was amazed how just a few words from her sister could pull them so close. For too long, she had behaved more like a mom than a sister. "Let's just let her be," agreed Martha. "Yippee! You hear that, Matilda? You get to fill up the nest and hatch a whole batch." Watching joy expressed over so small a something reminded Martha of her need to store strength by the moment as part of preparing for tomorrow. From the center of the soul, in a place where flowers grow, buds were forming, growing into flowers which would brighten their homes only days from now.